I can't speak for like all ex-Mormon or ex-religious women, but I can speak for myself. Like, I've always kind of been a sexual person, and I was just suppressing it. That was my first purchase. It's the Oxfun automatic sex machine. So, I see that look on your face. I've just solved every single woman's problem. And you can go faster. I've never gone that fast. But, like, that's just crazy. When I left the church, I think once I was able to deconstruct my prudeness, I think it was easier for me to start to explore stuff. But really, I'm just like a girl who's learning stuff. Like, this is all new to me. Look at this. Like, it's almost the size of my arm. This is the hardest thing to hide. Like,
from who are you hiding?
Well, when my in-laws come over, I'm like, like trying to find a place to hide it. It's so big. It's just, you're like dying, but like, imagine trying to hide this. Where do you hide it?
No, where do you hide it?
I hide it in my closet, but I need to find a better hiding spot because I've got nosy in-laws. So all it takes is them just being like, oh, what's in here? And then, wow, like this.
Mormons believe that sexual desires should only be satisfied within heterosexual marriage. Outside of that, any sexual activities or sexual perversions, as they call them, like watching porn or masturbating, are completely banned. For Brut, I'm in Utah, in the Salt Lake City area, and I met with this young married couple who just recently left the LDS church and is re-exploring their sexuality.
This is what I would do. I would walk to the temple every single day and write in this journal. My love for you has always been present and has grown ever so. I was speaking in thous in these. Thou hast blessed me with my desires. I am here in Salt Lake City. This is like, I bought this because I had moved to Salt Lake City. I was like, I am here. I'm going to be so devout. Ooh, this one's saucy. This one's the day after we had sex. Yesterday was the strangest day for me, yet the best. James and I got married, and Lord, I pray that thou will bless us, that as we continue forward from here, that we may have your protection from the adversary's power here on earth. I love you, Lord, and thank you so much for giving me James. I didn't give him any of the details. I wish I would have wrote about those details. I was still on my honeymoon at the time when I wrote this. I'm like sitting here, like just getting plowed. I'm gonna write to God. I look back at these pictures and it was all a facade.
Did you just get married to have sex?
We did get married to have sex, but we still loved each other and wanted to be married. But yes, we wanted to fuck. I still have our temple picture next to the bed. I loved this dress. I hated that I had to have like a sleeve thing on. You have to keep your shoulders covered. Also, I did get to wear my dress during my temple sealing, but let me show you what I had to put on over my dress. I had no idea this was gonna happen. And then they tell you you have to put this over it. Temple ritual clothing. They kind of go through like the Adam and Eve story, but there's one point where when they get kicked out of the Garden of Eden, they then have to cover themselves. I had to put this on over my dress, like this. And then, yeah, there's more. This is like, you'd think that this would be a part of your wedding, but this is a part of every single endowment session you go to. Women have to veil their faces because guess what? We're not worthy of showing our faces. They have escorts that go with you. That person was probably there to make you feel like everything was normal, when in actuality it was weird what we were doing, like going into prayer circles, doing crazy handshakes. I got a new name. It's just, in my opinion, it's a cult, really. And there are people who would strongly disagree with me. But come on, you get this and you have a wedding dress? Try to tell a 23-year-old girl you're not going into a cult.
We're in Salt Lake City to meet with Natasha Helfer. She's a really well-known sex therapist, a mental health and sexual health advocate for the Mormon community. This is the practice that James and Sarah first came to when they started exploring. Today, we're doing a one-time session with Natasha Helfer herself. James asked me not to show his face for privacy purposes. In this community, speaking out in favor of sexual liberation remains taboo.
How long ago was it that you left the church?
2019?
Well, yeah, we started our faith crisis like summer of 2019. We grew up in a very restrictive religion, and it's kind of like, what do I actually believe versus what was ingrained in me?
What were some of the takeaways that you were gathering, do you think, in regards to messages you were receiving about your sexuality?
It was really ingrained in us girls that we had to be modest and pure. We did the licked cupcake. The whole premise is like, who wants to eat a licked cupcake?
Or they say, who wants this cupcake? And then everyone's like, yeah, I want a cupcake. And then they lick it and they're like, who wants it now?
Yeah. And if you are doing things with other people prior to marriage, you are considered a licked cupcake.
This is
So,
an object lesson.
yes.
Let's go back and talk about your developmental journey.
Around 16 and 17, like, you have to go in, and the bishop was just like asking me if I masturbated and stuff. Like, and at the time, like, you don't realize like this is wrong. Like, I shouldn't have to like explain this to like some guy that's like, you know, a middle-aged man. I'm just like a teenage kid. There was like always this like guilt that I would like carry around with me for days. Like, if I would quote unquote slip up, I would feel like just awful for like 3 or 4 days, and trying to pray and like.
And
Yeah.
slip up meant masturbating.
Just masturbating, yeah.
What are your thoughts now, looking back at kind of yourself at that time, about how that impacted maybe your sense of self, your sense of identity?
Oh, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I just felt like I was just a really bad person. You know? Like, I'm not like worthy of anything.
I feel guilt and shame, can't give priesthood blessings, can't take the sacrament. I have anxiety, loss of self-confidence, loss of focus, concentration, numbing of my feelings, can't get married in the temple, fear, risk of severe embarrassment, not worthy of eternal life. So that's probably why I felt really bad, because I felt like I was not worthy of eternal life.
Tell me what this is.
It's a 12-step program from the LDS Church, but the main people that use this program, what they suffer from quote unquote pornography addiction.
How do you get diagnosed with pornography?
Well, I guess it's not diagnosed, just basically what happens is if you go to the bishop enough times to confess about pornography and you can't stop, he'll be like, hey, you should try this program. I remember saying this in one of the meetings, that I felt like I had lost my soul, like I was empty inside, and that I was worthless. And it was all because I looked at porn maybe a few times a week. And I just felt like a horrible, horrible person, and that I had, no redeeming qualities. So yeah, I think it does traumatize you.
I knew he was looking at porn because he had set up so many accountability things to keep himself accountable. He would just look at it. I'd get a notification in an email or a text, and I'd go and I'd see it, and I was just like, I didn't say that. I was probably like, fetch and frick, like, oh my gosh. Yeah, so it was just bad. It just caused a lot of tension in our relationship, and I didn't feel like worthy, because we'd also just had sex maybe that night before, and I'm like, why do you need porn? Am I not enough? But here I am just like this, having dutiful sex, like, come unto me. I'm your wife, your helpmeet, like, use my body as a portal for your needs. I mean, of course he needed a little more. Do you blame him? Dutiful sex sucks. So, for women especially.
in the beginning of our faith journey, we did have some disagreements on, okay, well, now that we don't have this set of rules that we need to live by, what kinds of things are okay? And so we had to work through that, and that was probably the most challenging part. We were literally, we were on the brink of divorce, and now we're just kind of thrown out to the wolves as far as like, we got to come up with a whole new belief system, a whole new value system, and here we are, we're in our 30s, and now we got to figure it all out.
There was very little room for the wife to explore her own sexuality, her own desires, her own fantasies. Like pretty much from the get-go, there was anxiety around his sexuality and monitoring his sexuality. So now they seem free to explore all kinds of things that were not available to them.
Once I was able to deconstruct my prudeness, I think it was easier for me to start to explore stuff.
Stroking it for me. Ooh.
I had a buyer request worn panties. What I can tell you is what I'm wearing and what I'm doing in these pictures is a no-go.
I've always kind of been a sexual person, and I was just suppressing it.